welcome to the 2TAKES podcast with April and Shannon, where we weekly talk about various topics on personal development, business, management, life, all of the things. So today's topic is motivators or motivation. So April's going to actually address this from her point of view first.
I am. This is something I'm actually really pretty passionate about because I've been on one end of the spectrum, which I know a lot of people are going to identify with, which is you're working for a company and they decide that let's bring in pizza. Let's have a pizza party for everyone and tell everyone, great job, way to go. And you get 5 pizzas and 2 boxes of cookies from the grocery store, and the managers are, hey, we love you guys. Yay, you did such a great job. And the whole time you're thinking, really? Pizza? That was huge in healthcare, by the way. It was like upper management would bring in pizza and think that it was this godsend.
Well, and ironically to April, it probably meant even less because she couldn't have the pizza. So
Exactly. So it's just a giant slap in my celiac face. So something that I have become more and more in tune with and passionate about are the different ways that different people are motivated, the different ways that people like to be recognized, the different ways that people like to be thanked. All of that rolls back into motivation in terms of an employee doing the best at their job because they feel valued, they feel like you understand them, they feel like you really get what it is that they want. Some employees, that may be, and by the way, this is not like new groundbreaking information. This is adopted by a lot of people. So you could watch a million different videos and probably hear some iteration of what I'm about to say. But there are some employees who are very motivated by money, and raises, bonuses, those types of things. Those are huge for them. There are other employees who aren't really motivated by money. So as employers or managers, you might think, hey, we get to give everyone 5% bonus, super excited about this, or 5% raise. And the person's kind of like, okay, I mean, great, I guess. But maybe what motivates them is knowing that they have kids that have tons of activities in the afternoon, and maybe they need a flex schedule. Maybe me listening to them talk about their lives, and that requires me actively seeking that information out. But knowing that Susie's got all of her kids' soccer games in the afternoon. So me coming to her and saying, hey, I know that spring soccer is in full swing now. What can I do to make sure that you get to those games? What can we figure out? That might be a huge motivator for her because A, I've taken the time to know what's important to her. B, I'm trying to help her work around that so that she's not missing those things. For other people, it might be really wanting to hybrid work or remote work, or there's a million different circumstances, a million different situations. But what it boils down to is not necessarily a blanket motivation for everyone. And you as a manager being able to take the time to get to know your staff well enough to know the things that are important to them and the things that are going to make them, as much as we can, enjoy being at our jobs a little bit more. And for some people, that might be pizza. For some employees, that might be random gift cards showing up on their desk with a note that says, you know, I know how hard you've been working. Hopefully this Starbucks gift card will help keep you caffeinated and trucking on down the line. For others, it might be, you know, I've given like candy baskets to people or just random things. It doesn't always have to be big things. And I'm not saying that people don't appreciate money, because they do, but that's not the end all be all to a lot of people. So knowing the things that are important to each individual person that really kind of make them tick are sometimes the best way, if you can work those in, to getting the most out of your staff and helping them to enjoy being at the company as much as they can, because they know that they're not just a number, they're not just a cog in the wheel, that they're actually, somebody's listening, they're valued, they're understood, and that can go a long way.
Yeah. April does a fantastic job at this. It is, I don't know if it's like one of her love languages or what, but she is highly in tune to it. Much better than I am. So if this is not a strength of yours innately, you're going to have to really work hard at it if this is your role. If it is not your role necessarily, give that responsibility or expectation to someone who will excel at it. At least do the fact finding for you, you know, give you a heads up. So when we look at this, you know, money as a motivator, that's what we kind of go to right now. We always think that motivators are always money related, and they're not always. But sometimes that only happens once a year, right? Annual evaluations, things like that. But think about if you only filled your gas tank once a year, you wouldn't go very far. You need that continual motivation. I know this morning I was sitting there, I'm like, okay, took a little break. Now I got to find my motivation between here and there, you know, just because we have to keep fueling us. So what can we do on a continual basis? It doesn't have to be big. And sometimes it is simply just recognition of little efforts, advancements, those sorts of things. I remember that side note in my personal life, I like to make homemade cards. So I would make homemade cards and I'd write things in them, and they kept them on their desk. It meant something to them, which then in turn meant a great deal to me, that they cared enough to get them. It showed up on reviews. I like the homemade cards, which, you know, that's awesome. So whatever it may be, but I think the more continual motivations that we have are helpful. And then knowing our people well enough to know how they like to be motivated, publicly or privately. So say you have a larger organization and you feel like it would be really great to recognize Cindy in front of everyone about something, and Cindy's not prepared and Cindy would prefer to be the wallflower. That recognition effort could actually cause her quite a great deal of anxiety, and your intention may not be received how you intended it to be. So think about how you do it as well. Not everything has to be grandiose. And in fact, sometimes it's better received if it's not, depending on who is being recognized and motivated. And then we talked a little bit about money. Money being a motivator. Like if you're in sales and money does not motivate you, you know, I've had this where then maybe sales is not quite very successful for you, especially if you're commission-based. But any regards to that sales, it's all about moving the money needle in some way. You're going to have expectations or commissions or minimum requirements, whatever it may be. So money is not necessarily the root of all evil. It is a motivator, and it needs to be in particular situations. So how do you know that too? We've talked on the podcast from time to time that there are assessments, outside of just asking and kind of getting to know people, but you could do DISC plus motivators. So if that's something in your organization, either for hiring, reorganizing an organization, just getting to know your new team, or you have a management change, maybe doing a DISC plus motivators assessment might be a great way to say, hey, this person's motivated by this. They're demotivated by this. Having a giant heads up, wouldn't that be helpful in management and leadership? Well, guess what? There are tools out there that can help with that. So let us know how we can help. If you want to explore what a DISC and motivators looks like, I could give you a sample report, but anything to better serve the people that are in our organizations, grow them, and achieve our end goal and missions in our organization is helpful. And that's what we're here for. So reach out to April or I. If you have specific questions, you can always check the links, get us on the website, all of those things. So we hope that you have a great week, a motivated week with your team, and thinking about motivation in a different, more creative way. Take care. We'll see you next week.